Okay, I get it.
That sounds great. What's up?
It's so intense. Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all good. So it's been a little while since I did pedal demo on my channel, but I'm looking forward to getting stuck in. We're looking at the KMA WURM2 today. If you know anything about KMA, they make great quality pedals based in Berlin in Germany. They have really cool artwork and like LED layouts on their designs. I've done a couple of videos of their pedals in the past. They always have a creative approach to the kind of controls and flexibility of the pedal itself. So if you want to check out other videos I've done of their pedals, I'll put them in the description box below. Either way, KMA make cool pedals, and I'm looking forward to checking out this new one called the WURM2. Now the WURM, which came before it obviously, was modelled on the HM-2 from Boss, the made in Japan original HM-2 heavy metal pedal, which is incredibly sought after these days. And the WURM2 takes that one step further in the sense that they've given a bit more flexibility and their own spin and direction on that particular pedal and what you can do with it. Just to let you guys know, this is a sponsored video. KMA have paid me to check this pedal out, put it through its paces in my rig, and give you my opinions. Obviously, my opinions, I'll leave them to the end, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So as you can see on the close-up, we're looking at the WURM2 here. It's a small form factor pedal, very similar in terms of layout to the original WURM, but you've got volume, you've got terror, which is gain, then you've got a 4-band EQ, you've got highs, high mids, low mids, and lows. That's basically what was on the original pedal. But now, on top of that, you've got a 3-way toggle switch, which gives you different EQ flavors. In the up position, it's the HM2, so it selects the HM2 style high mids EQ with a fixed internal center frequency, labeled as high on the original HM2. In the down position, you've got the KMA designed high mids EQ with an adjustable internal center frequency. And then in the middle position, it's classed as both, which combines both of those EQ styles together. With each of these EQ pots, you've got an 8 dB boost or cut, but as you go inside, you can see the internal trim pot allows you to change the frequency that's affecting. So in the lows, you can go from 60 Hz all the way up to 150. The low mids, you go from 300 Hz all the way up to 1.5K. The high mids, you can go from 950 Hz up to 3.2K. And then in the highs, you can go from 1.4K to 5K. That's pretty cool. And it allows you to shape the EQ of the pedal even further. At the minute, this is rigged up factory. So all those internal trim pots are set at noon, which is where you would expect them to be. I did actually tinker around with it earlier, but I thought for the purpose of this video, I'm going to put it back to noon because that's what you'll get if you buy one of these pedals straight out of the box. Another very cool feature on the inside is an internal input filter. I've actually turned it on because what it does is it activates a high cut at the distortion input to reduce the risk of oscillation when cranking the gain, master, and all the EQs to max. Because let's face it, this is modelled on an HM2. Now, I did a video of one of those recently, and one of the things I was educated on was that you're supposed to turn everything on full to get the classic chainsaw metal tone, which was made famous by Entombed. And I didn't know that. So that's exactly what that switch is for, which I think is very cool. Hence why I turned it on, because I'm going to turn everything on full with this pedal. And I think most people that buy one of these or have something like that are going to do the same. So I figured I may as well turn it on because it's going to help us with that. And I think it's a very considered feature to put in a pedal like this. Other than that, I think the visuals are great. I love the colorway. I think it's really nice. And the graphic is like, if you've seen the film Tremors, it's like those ground man-eating earthworm things, which is very cool. It's like a big mouthful of teeth. But the coolest thing for me is when you turn it on, the LEDs are the eyes on the WURM, and that's just really sick. When I did the Logan, the Transcend drive, it's the same kind of thing there. The way the LEDs are laid out on their pedals is just pretty creative, and I think that's really cool. Okay, so that's everything. Hopefully John snipped that down to be nice and concise, but what we're doing in this video is we're going to take my guitar, plug it into a series of amps running through my KHE switcher. So I've got the Super Kraken, got the Friedman Twin Sister, and I've got the Soldano SLO 100. Figured, you know, we'd run from clean through to crunches. I'm not going to try anything on super high gain to start with, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I'm using the Relic, the Chapman ML1 SIG with the bare knuckle silos in. Let me show you what we're going through. This is the Twin Sister bridge pickup humbucker, so it's pretty pokey, but this is what we've got. Okay, everything's at 12 o'clock on the WURM2, so, and the EQ is in the HM2 position, so here we go. What I needed to do straight away was boost everything, so. First thing I'm going to do is mess with EQ pots. Okay, so you can clearly hear the EQs making it want to go into that intense, gnarly territory of the chainsaw metal thing. So I'm going to change amp actually, because I want to hear this into more of a crunch. So I'm going to go into the Soldano. So, the Soldano. This is how the Soldano sounds on its own. And now I'm going to throw on the WURM2, again, everything at 12. Okay, so I'm messing around with it. I just want to hear everything on full, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I get it. It sounds disgusting in a good way, in such a weird way, but in a good way. It's like so, like from this to, and also that's not that bad noise-wise. That must be the high frequency filter thing inside that's allowing that not to oscillate really intensely. Because that's everything on full, volume's up. You can hear my voice
through the guitar. That sounds great. What's up?
See what I mean? I mean, it's almost like a fuzz in a way. Like, I know it's got that really intense kind of like over everything, over the top everything, gnarly sound to it. But in a way, like it feels a bit fuzzy, like almost germanium in a way, like in terms of its feel. What I'm going to do now is run it through the high gain channel of the Kraken. I figured that was good because it's got less presence like at the very top, and I figured that would be good for a pedal with so much gain. So let's try that. Okay, so this is the Kraken. I'm just going to throw it on, everything on full. Okay, it's so intense. Take out some lows and volume. Yeah, I think it's probably too much for it with the high gain channel like that. So let's go to a crunch. Okay, I've got the Kraken on a crunch and with the preamp focus engaged, so it's a bit more... It's a bit tight. So let's see what happens. Quite like that. What I might try now, because everything's on full, we can hear how it reacts with the EQ, because we've just been hearing it in the HM2 mode. This is affecting the high mid, so let's check it out. You can definitely hear the difference between the KMA and the HM2 EQ there. In the middle, it's less obvious, but I think the difference is that it's talking about that mid-frequency thing, saying that in the HM2 it's kind of set, and whereas in the KMA it's a bit more varied or something. To be fair, the biggest difference audibly is moving between the two types, you know, between the HM2 and the KMA. Let's move back to the Soldano. So obviously we're always used to hearing these kind of pedals with everything on full. What happens when you have the volume and the terror on full, but you take all the EQ out? The last thing I'm going to do is mess with the internal EQ trim pots. So, as you can see, this is the inside of the pedal, very neat. These 4 grey squares are the EQ. So, and in case you wondered, that's also the little filter switch just there on the left. So everything's set at 12 o'clock, as you can see. I'm going to boost the treble to around 5k. I'm going to boost the high mid a little bit. I'm going to pull down the low mid. I'm talking about the frequencies I'm affecting here. So I'm going to bring the low mid down to sort of about 240. The high mid I've boosted, so I'm going to be affecting around sort of 1.72, something like that. And then the highs I've put up to, that's going to be 5k. And then I'm just going to boost the lows from 90 to around 100. Okay, back into the Soldano. And yeah, I've adjusted those EQ settings. So let's have a listen. So we should be able to affect the different areas of the EQ now. So the high should be much higher than it was before. So there's clearly a huge scope in terms of how much you can affect the EQ. Let's just see what happens if we just mess with where they're set. I have no idea what I've set them to now. Let's just listen. Okay, well that pretty much sums it up for the WURM2 from KMA. But yeah, what's my opinion? I mean, look, if you were to ask me, would you ever have an HM2 on your pedal board? I would say no. It's not the kind of pedal I would ever really use for my kind of the tones I go for. It's not, but I completely appreciate the reasons and I respect it and understand why people love that sound and why they would seek out one of those pedals and why they have a really good place in the metal scene for a guitarist to try and get that kind of tone. So, with all that in mind, what do I think of the KMA WURM2? Well, I think it does a great job of sounding like an HM2. What I think is cool is all the extra flexibility. Do I think you need it necessarily when you're running everything on full? I'm not sure, but the biggest difference being when you move between the HM2 EQ mode and the KMA mode, I think that's quite useful, which you can't necessarily do that on the original HM2. And also having the internal trim pots, which would actually far exceed the EQ spectrum that you could get out of an HM2, which I think is very cool. In any case, thank you for watching this video. Thanks to KMA for reaching out and asking me to do a video of this pedal. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the tones, and I did some justice to the sort of chainsaw metal style tones going on. But I'll link it in the description box below. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and share. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.